Banzai! Konnichiwa, anata. Kajo Raifuru Taipu Rokozyu Yun. Hello again in another episode of GunfireTV, and while I was butchering Japanese, I was trying to say that today in our episode we're gonna be comparing two replicas, one by G&G and one by S&T, both replicas of Japanese rifle Type 64. Yes, totally, I've got here shits with Japanese. Alright, so both of those beauties are now on the table, so let's start from the front. As you can see, they look identical. We've got the same muzzle brake, and you can disassemble this whole piece because this part of a barrel is really a collar, and if you take this off, or from the G&G the same, you've got the barrel with 14mm thread. In S&T is right turn, and in G&G is left. Now we've got a bipod. In both of those beautiful replicas, it falls only with a spring, like so. Well, in S&T, as you can see, it is a bit finicky, but if you hold it like so, it's very comfortable. You almost do not feel the bipod at all, and as I said, you can take it off the replica, but Japanese soldiers use them on theirs usually. All right, as you can see, they're quite long, so they barely fit the table. Now in G&G, the springs in the bipod are a bit stronger, so it stays on the spot, and as the S&T, it's very comfortable when you hold it like so. So the barrel shroud in G&G, it's made of steel. In S&T, it's made of zinc alloy, but that makes S&T much more lighter than G&G. That's if you are one of those people who don't like to carry a lot of stuff. Alright, so now the pistol grip in G&G is made of wood, and it's quite large, so it's both long and thick. It holds, of course, the motor inside. In S&T, it's also large, but not as thick as in G&G, so a bit more comfortable for me as for owner of medium size hand. Now the stock, both stocks are made of wood, and they have a swing lever on this side and this armrest. If you like to use it, it's not very comfortable, but it's also in original. And in G&G, we've got here a small trap door, and inside we've got access for the battery space. It's enough for a lot of LiPo battery types. Now, as for the stock in S&T, we also do have this crazy little armrest, and as you can see, there is access for the battery, but there is no trapdoor because they chose another way of doing this, and there is this small little plastic thing that it's easier to put in than to take out, and that's why I'm not taking it out in front of the camera. So now it's time to compare the receivers and the action. Both of the receivers are made of metal, although in G&G it's the upper receiver is one piece. It seems a bit more solid. In S&T it's made of two parts, so more to the original in G&G. Now the action, so the slide moves like so in S&T and gives us access to hop-up chamber. It's their own patent, so you will not replace it with other type of hop-up chambers. It's a rotary one and works just fine. Now the slide does not stay in backwards position, but it does in G&G. To release it, you simply push the button here. Here it's only a mock-up. It also allows you to see where is your hop-up chamber, but to adjust it? Well, that's kind of cool. You use this knob that in original it's gas. It's used to adjust or decrease the volume of gas that goes into the rifle. Of course, this is an electrical replica, so this is used just to operate with hop-up. Quite cool. Every soldier needs some kind of sights. Even Japan needs soldiers. So here we've got folding sights like so. Back in the day, this was very, very modern stuff. As you can see, the slide is moving here, so there's no wrist rail to put any kind of optics. But there is this space here with a thread where in original replica, original rifles, you could mount a scope. Now, both G&G and S&T seem not to have any kind of mount for those replicas. By the time we're making this video, well, maybe in future they will, because replicas are quite accurate, but using mechanical sights may be problematic for many of us airsofters. So please, G&G, please do that. S&T, I ask you also. If not, we will think something through. Now, fire controls. Very weird fire controls, but as in original. Here is safety and fire selector. What you need to do, as you can see, nothing moves now. You need to pull and then rotate it. Then it will stop first on single fire, then on full auto. It rotates 360 degrees. So yeah, that's funny, but that's how they invented it. The same as for the use of it is in S&T, but this will not rotate 360, just 180 degrees. Now, we should ask somebody else who knows a lot about history of guns if in real gun it rotates 360 or 180 degrees. I'm not sure, so it's for you to find. But it works the same. We've got single fire and full auto in S&T and a bit more in G&G, but we'll get back to this in a moment when we'll be talking about the trigger. Now, the magazine. Now the magazine is a very important part of every gun. In S&T we've got metal high cap that holds 380 BBs. In G&G also made of metal, mid cap holding 90 BBs. Now here I would just like to say that in my opinion with this kind of replica, high cap is a better choice because, well, let's not kid ourselves, usually this will not be your main battle rifle, usually of course I said, and I think that high cap in these situations is a better choice. Let's not kid ourselves, on most skirmishes there will be no one or maybe one guy that will be holding the same kind of magazines, and I think high cap is a better choice as the first magazine in the box. You can use this mid-cap magazine in G&G or buy spare mid-cap magazine or spare high-cap magazine or spare box magazine. Yeah. Oh, sucker! Now, something more about G&G. As you can see, safety, huh? As you can see, it shoots like so. Of course, it's empty. Now, it does not shoot. Without magazine, it will not shoot. Now, if you press this lever here, it will, after shooting the last BB, I'm still learning this thing, it will also cut off the gearbox. So, a bit more of realism in G&G. A big plus, I must say. All right, trigger time! No, literally. S&T's trigger uses micro switch and it's very crisp and you can totally say when it's going to shoot. As for G&G, well, there's a lot more going on. So, look at how this trigger operates. How long is its way? Nothing, 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 nothing. Bang! Okay, quite a long way. But if you use, and I kid you not, this remote control and take out the magazine at least partially and press 1, right then, it should work much faster. Whoa! That's cool, right? You can also choose the option to, so it's somewhere in between. You can also, let's say you want 5-shot burst. You use one of the buttons, it clicks 5 times. Now, full auto. Yeah, there are other options on those remotes, so check it out on our website. I think it's quite cool, you know, to use remote not only for your TV but also for a gun. That's fun. Alright, time to compare how accurate the replicas are. I've got very small targets on a distance of around 5 or 6 meters. Now, I will be using mechanical sights. Therefore, we will be talking about grouping, not the pin pointing on the target, because I use mechanical sights very, very, very rarely, and when I do, these are pistols. So please, S&T or G&G, think about those mounts for the optics, because even with optics, I sometimes suck. First, S&T. G&G. Alright, so results are almost identical. Well, the distance is very close. I would really like to check it out on like 40 or 50 meters. Unfortunately, the weather is really crappy. But let's measure it. G&G 2.9. S&T, the maximum distance between holes is 3.1, no, I would say 3, so 1 millimeter. Of course, we are talking about mechanical sights, and there's a lot of mistakes to do by me during the shooting. I would really like to check them out with some kind of scope. Nevertheless, almost identical. For Chrono Test, we will use 0.2 Specna Arms Edge BBs and 11.1 Specna Arms LiPo battery. First, S&T. Alrighty then, so it's time to sum it up and decide which of those two replicas is better. To be honest, I thought it's gonna be harder, but I will just say at the beginning that I think that G&G won this competition. Shiitake mushrooms. So, it looks nicer. In overlook, it's heavier and better built, and I can say for sure that G&G is putting more concern to the details. On the other hand, the S&T is a bit lighter, so if you're not of a very large build, maybe you will choose the S&T. Now, as for fire controls and what you can change in the replica, G&G, well, it rocks. The new MOSFET and the remote control, it's really something awesome. Also, the hop-up adjustment, it's something very new compared to typical hop-up chamber. Now, what is better in my opinion in S&T is that they decided to use high cap out of the box. I think in this kind of category of replicas it's better. The wood looks a bit better. It looks more like a typical wood on a rifle, and it's only my opinion, but on most of the pictures I found the Type 64 black, and the G&G is a bit grayish, but these were different pictures. So if you're a weapon expert, you may say if those original rifles are more in gray color or in black. Now, we've got better inside parts in G&G, so the performance should be better. You could check it out on our Chrono Test that on the same battery, the rate of fire with G&G was higher. As for the FPS, S&T has a bit less FPS, but the consistency is very, very similar. So those 15 FPS or maybe 10, it's not such a difference. There's more room in G&G stock, and there are trapdoors and not this weird cap, which is very easy to be lost. And the G&G magazine gives you more options. For example, the gearbox cutoff, so the replica will stop shooting when the magazine is empty or it's not in the gun. In S&T, well, it works like a standard AEG. So, all in all, I think that G&G won. But that doesn't mean we need to finish here, because both of those companies produce replicas of Second World War firearms. So maybe next time we will compare G&G's Mauser with S&T's Mauser or something else. If you would like to see such a battle, so second battle of G&G and S&T, write down in comments below and we'll try to make it work. Well, that was all. Arigato mas. And I take a fork because I don't use them at all, as you can see. Sorry.